Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, coming to you on a Tuesday, and a very happy Tuesday indeed from everyone here at Prime Sports World. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffin. Right there is my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. Just in case you are an Arizona Cardinals fan and you happen to be watching this particular episode of the podcast, just brace yourself, because this is probably not going to be a pro Arizona Cardinals show as we talk about what their season's going to be like this upcoming season. But just please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, as we're going to be breaking down. We're down to just 7 teams after today. We're doing the Los Angeles Rams tomorrow as we get through the basement of the NFC West before we get to the Seahawks and 49ers to wrap up this week. TJ, happy Tuesday, my friend. How are ya?
All right, went to the mall, spent some money,
Okay.
Good day.
What did you get at the mall?
Just sent it to the group chat. I got some art from my wall, some new earrings.
Man, that's dope, dude.
Yeah, some new earrings, and a shirt jersey, because I'm going to Wrigley tomorrow.
Oh, for sure, man. That's exciting. I went to the Y for the first time today after I started my membership yesterday. Y, really fun. Like, remind me of being back at Speeds Fieldhouse. So I'm very happy. I'm in a good mood, TJ. The only downside is my Kyries are digging into the back of my ankles, like, because the fabric got worn away, and I don't really know how to fix that.
New Kyries, new shoes.
Basketball shoes are expensive. Anyway, let's just jump right into the Arizona Cardinals.
You don't have to buy the name, like you don't have to buy the name.
I know, but they're still not cheap. Anyways, moving on. Let's go talk about the Arizona Cardinals.
That means you don't know how to shop. That's all that means. That's literally what that means.
Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Will they be tanking in 2023 as like an NFL team can tank in 2023? What do you expect out of the Arizona Cardinals? Will they quote unquote be tanking this season, as we don't expect Kyler Murray to return this year? They released DeAndre Hopkins without having to try to find a trade partner for him. This defense has pretty much been gutted as they let a lot of key free agents walk. Like, is this going to be a situation where we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals just like not like, like when we talk about tanking, like those Philadelphia teams like weren't like purposely trying to lose games, but they just weren't putting a good product on the field to like win basketball games. And now we see the Arizona Cardinals, who could potentially have 2 top 5 picks in this year's draft, as they have the Houston Texans pick, which could be top 5 as well. Are Arizona going to be tanking? And like, what are they going to be tanking for? Because I can't imagine that they're going to be taking a quarterback at next year's draft, because I kind of think this season's kind of a throwaway for Arizona.
Well, Walter Football, I'm looking at it right now, the way too early mock draft. Walter Football wrote this literally 3 weeks ago, and I'm just saying Walter Football because it's not like that's not his actual name. That's the website.
Yeah, I think people know who Walter Football is. I don't think you need to explain.
And like this mock draft was literally written on July 25th, and he has the Raiders with the first overall pick. They go Caleb Williams. He has Tampa Bay number 2. That's Drake May. He has Arizona at 3, and they get Marvin Harrison Jr., which I don't hate that. And then you scroll all the way down to 8, and whose pick is that? Houston's?
I mean, probably, yeah.
One. So they have their own top pick, and then they have Houston's top pick, and they have that. The 8th overall pick is Dallas Turner, the DN out of Bama, which I guess we still got to have a whole college football season. And again, this is just a way too early mock draft, right? It's what will they be tanking for? Well, we know they're not tanking for a new quarterback. I think.
I'm
right. I think it's.
I still think. I mean, they just gave Kyler Murray that contract extension. I imagine if they were going to really try to if they were really thinking about taking a different quarterback, they would have traded him at some point this offseason. But yeah, I think the Carolina Cardinals are all in on just putting out, just basically crippling their own team, and they're not going to go out there and try to lose games on purpose, but they're just not putting a good product on the field.
No, it's not about losing games on purpose. It's like, truth be told, we've really only seen that one time in maybe like the history of sports, and that was the Philadelphia 76ers. Because because
it happened a lot in the NBA. Like, you players, they just didn't put good players on and they shut down players down. It happens a lot in the NBA. We never really see it in the NFL.
No, Buddy from Philly literally came out and said, we're not trying to win. No other team, they may put out bad players or a bad product, but dude flat out said, yeah, we're going to be bad for the next 4 years. He literally said that. And on the NFL tip, they say it without saying it. Like, they sign certain guys, they give certain guys playing time that wouldn't be playing on other teams and all that other good stuff. Here with Arizona, it's just a matter of, hey man, our quarterback's injured.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Hopkins is gone. So there's no telling what the team would do or what the product would be if Kyler is not hurt. It's a different ball game if Kyler's there from jump and he's not hurt, because he at least gives you some kind of quote unquote competitive edge. Where it's you got a game plan. I don't even know who the hell is going to be quarterbacking for them in a couple weeks.
Colt McCoy's on the roster. They got Clayton Tune, who I think they drafted, and they also have David Blau, who they got from the Detroit Lions. I mean, I'm not really 100% sure. I think they're going to lead a lot on James Conner to be the starting running back of this team. Zach Ertz, who knows, is still a good tight end. Surprised he's not being traded out of here. I think the Arizona Cardinals, tanking's become such a dirty word in all of sports, right? Like, oh, you're tanking. Like, I just don't think the Arizona Cardinals expect to be good, and I think they're okay with that.
Well, again, it's also circumstances that's out of their control. Like, again, Kyler's hurt. New head coach. Do they got a new GM too? They got a new GM. Yeah, new GM too. I think they fired everybody from that regime, from the previous regime. And
I mean, that segues right into our next topic here, where if you are Jonathan Gannon coming off of that Super Bowl run with the Philadelphia Eagles, would you have taken this job knowing that you're probably not going to do a lot of winning, at least your first maybe 2 seasons potentially, and the shelf life of a head coach, like, you get an opportunity, and if it doesn't work out, like, a lot of times, especially with the Arizona Cardinals, they've shown that they're willing to just push the reset button fairly easily when it comes to the head coaching position. Is this the job that you would have taken as your first head coaching job?
Yeah, because at the same time, nothing's guaranteed, right? I understand that you got what you call it. I think every year there's 7 new head coaching spots that open up every season on average. There's not a guarantee that you're going to get one of those 7, let alone interviewed for one of those 7. And it's 7 of 32 of the most prestigious jobs in the world. Like, only 32 people can say, I am an NFL head coach. Like, that's an honor amongst itself to be one of 32. And you must have did something right. You must have impressed the right people, said the right stuff for them to choose you over whoever else they interviewed. And I understand organizations like the Cardinals and the Texans, they have a bad track record of keep maintaining coaches right now. They have shown that they are on short leashes with coaches, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I'm willing to bet Buddy took this head coaching job with that caveat. Right? We already it's like, hey, we know we're gonna be bad. We're not gonna have Kyler for majority of the season if we have
if
him
at
at
all,
all.
at all.
And so we know for a fact we are going to be terrible. We will give you this year as basically a write off. Next year, you build the team in your image and your liking, and then we go from there. So if I think really it's gonna base it off of what Gannon does next year. And to his point, I mean to his credit, he also and he knows this. He don't have Fletcher Cox lining up at the nose on this team. He doesn't have Darius Slay in the secondary. He has Buda Baker, but Buda Baker's one guy.
Yep.
And
I mean, Marco Wilson is his best corner. Isaiah Simmons has been kind of meh as a first-round pick coming out of Clemson.
I think with Isaiah Simmons, I think he would really blossom.
They have him listed as the starting right as a nickel corner right now.
That's what I'm saying. I think if and like the thing that hurts them is Buda Baker is their strong safety. So if they was to switch Isaiah Simmons to strong, and I don't know what they would do. Like I don't know if Buda Baker could play free. I don't know that, but I think that's where
on their depth chart right now. He's listed as their free safety on ESPN.com.
So okay, so I would legit move Isaiah Simmons to that strong safety spot. It's not like he can't play it.
Yeah. And I tend to agree with you. Yeah, if you get an opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League, you take that opportunity. I mean, you never ever know like what the future is going to hold or what's going to happen in the future. If you pass up an opportunity to be a head coach, you may not get that opportunity again. And yes, I sort of think that this is not the ideal first coaching job. Just given the fact that the Arizona Cardinals are going to really stink this season, and it's a very much a win. What have you done for me lately kind of thing. Like if you come out of the gates with 2 seasons in a row where you struggle, I think but yeah, you take this job. You take this job 100%.
And at the same time, it's like you said, like it's not an ideal job, but what kind of coaching jobs do we always see that's open at the end of the season? The terrible ones, the bad teams, the Colts, the Jags, the Bears a year ago, the Raiders.
You're not head coaches of good football teams aren't getting fired. Like they're like that's not happening.
Even the coaches of the in between teams, like the halfway decent coaches, aren't getting fired, and it's gonna be a progress.
The one saving grace is the fact that you assume you have your quarterback in place. I mean, because you think Kyler Murray is going to be the franchise guy, you're paying him as such, and not every coaching job has a guy where you can point to and be like, yeah, that's the guy right there. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Moving on from there, let's just talk about the players to watch on offense, defense. I was kind of scraping at the bottom of the barrel here when it comes to storylines for the Arizona Cardinals. I actually deleted the Kyler Murray one that I had on there for the Gannon question because I thought it was a little more interesting. But players to watch on offense and defense. You're going to pick one guy.
Okay, now I'm curious. What was the Kyler Murray question?
The Kyler Murray was just, do you expect to see him on the football field again this season?
Late in the season,
I'm gonna go with no. I did not expect him to play at all.
No, because like I think he needs that. I think if he does come back, even if the season's a wash and they have no shot, he can't go a full calendar year of not getting hit, not doing anything, and wait until next season to do something because your body needs that. Your body needs that muscle memory to get back into the fold, the swing of things. And the players to watch on offense and defense. Well, we already named some of them. James Conner in the backfield, Isaiah Simmons on defense. This is a big year for Isaiah Simmons. And Buda.
You can make the argument Mike may be a make or break season for.
It's 9 times out of 10 to make or break season, and it's a terrible season for this to be your make or break season because you're gonna be bad. You're gonna be bad, but the best part about it is and if you're a silver lining kind of guy, you can take advantage of this. If you like, even bad players, even bad teams have good players that put up stats.
Yeah.
However, quote unquote meaningless they might be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Buda Baker as my. That seems like a cop out, but on the defensive side, Buda Baker's the most entertaining player on this defense. He's the best player on the defense by far. On offense, I actually think Clayton Tune, the kid from Houston, I think is pretty interesting. I think he's gonna start a legitimate amount of games for this Arizona Cardinals team. I think what he gives you on offense, I think he's got some upside. I also really like Trey McBride, the tight end they took last season, who I think won the Dick Butkus Award last year out of Colorado State. I think, and he was used sparingly, 29 catches for 265 yards and a touchdown. He's someone that I'm very interested in to see how he plays on offense this season. From there, let's talk about the draft. Paris Johnson
and Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore kind of slides into that receiver 2 spot next to Hollywood Brown. This is, oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
So moving into their draft, we got Paris Johnson Jr. They took offensive tackle. They did trade back with the Houston Texans, picked up a future draft capital, which is one of the big things they needed to do in this year's draft. And then they traded back up with Detroit, took the best offensive tackle available on the board, something they definitely needed. B.J. Ojulari, edge out of LSU, Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse, Michael Wilson, wide receiver out of Stanford, John Gaines, the second offensive lineman out of UCLA, Clayton Tune, quarterback out of Houston, Owen Pepe, linebacker out of Auburn, Clark, cornerback out of Louisville, Dante Stills, defensive tackle out of West Virginia. I love what the Arizona Cardinals did at the top of this draft. I love trading back and picking up the future draft capital and then trading back up and get the guy you probably might have taken at 3 anyways, with Paris Johnson Jr.
Paris Johnson. Yeah, he slides right into the right tackle spot, and he's day 1 starter.
Yep. Behemoth of a human being. Should be a day 1 starter at the left tackle. Gotta love it. B.J. Ojulari is I think his brother also plays for the New York Giants.
Yeah, Aziz.
Right? Yeah. So he's got prototypical size, 6'2", 248 pounds. He could, gain a little bit of muscle there, gain a little bit of weight, but you figure you get in the NFL, you'll be fine.
Also listed as a starter.
Yeah, also probably will start. Garrett Williams, defensive back out of Syracuse. They let Marlon Humphrey? No, that's not his name. Hold on a second. They let Byron Murphy walk in free agency. He's now a member of the Minnesota Vikings. So you needed more defensive back help because their defensive back right now is pretty limited on the players. They got Anthony Hamilton Sr., Marco Wilson, who's a veteran. And then he's listed right now as the third backup behind Marco Wilson. He's also injured right now, so I don't know what that's about. And Clayton Tune, I think he has some upside there. I like, let him play. Maybe you can get some value out of him, trade him at some point later if you let him play. I would for sure start him over Colt McCoy.
Yeah, we know what Colt is. We know what he is, just like we know what Jeff Driscoll is and David Blau. We know what they are. The wild card in this is Clayton Tune, and to your point, it can't hurt. He can't hurt. I guarantee you, the production you get out of Tune is the same you're going to get out of Colt McCoy.
And not to mention, if he does play well, you can legitimately flip him maybe for a second or third round pick in the next year's draft and see if you can build that way.
You can also play the card of, hey, I like this guy better than I like Kyler Murray. I know we paid Kyler, but this guy is significantly cheaper. Kyler's injury history is starting to catch up with him. He's had, I think this is his first significant injury, but he's also had little knick-knack, nagging ones.
He's 6'3". He's got prototypical size, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's got a rocket for a throwing arm. He's already 24 years old, so he's a little bit on the older side when it comes to starting quarterbacks, at least as a rookie. I think you roll the dice. You let him start as many games as you can. Then you get some depth at the offensive lineman position with John Gaines, the second guard out of UCLA. He played 45 games in 5 years. one of those being a freshman. Let's see, he's 6'4", 300 pounds. Probably could play a little bit of tackle, depending on things shake out. But it's just getting depth at those positions. Then, Dante Stills, 6'4", 284 pounds, pretty small to play defensive tackle in the NFL. But, maybe he can play edge.
How big is he again?
6'4", 284 pounds. Slightly undersized to play tackle, but
6'4", 284.
Yeah.
So you gonna have to use his speed against a lot of them.
Yeah. But the wide receiver, I don't know a lot about him, to be totally honest with you. Michael Wilson, the wide receiver out of Stanford. He's 6'2", 209 pounds. He's got the prototypical size you're looking for at the wide receiver. He doesn't have his combine or his pro day stuff on here, so
the downside is it's, and I'm not trying to sound disrespectful here, but it's Stanford. It's Stanford.
But they seem to have a quarterback that gets drafted in every draft every couple of years, right?
It's Stanford.
Whether it be Tanner McKee in this year's draft, or Kevin Hogan a few years ago, or Andrew Luck. And I'm sure there was a guy in between Hogan and McKee that I'm not thinking of.
No, you're not. It's Stanford. Yeah, I'm being disrespectful. It's Stanford. You want to know why you're not getting looked at? You play football for Stanford. I'm not saying you're a bum. I'm not saying you're terrible. I'm not saying you're not going to have a good NFL career. But it's Stanford. People aren't really flocking to the TV to see Stanford football.
100%. I will say, just based on the strength of their first two picks, I give this a solid B. I love getting this extra draft capital and potentially have 2 top 5 picks next year in the draft. That's a solid B for their draft.
Oh yeah, next year's draft is definitely going to be the one to keep an eye out for.
Yep. So notable, if they do decide, they'll have the draft capital. Let's say they do decide to move off of Kyler Murray next offseason. They'll have the draft capital to move up to number 1 overall and take whoever they want.
They're going to have the draft capital regardless, because let's say they do get those top 2 picks, top 5 picks. You know how many teams are going to be clamoring for at least one of them?
100%. From the free agent roster shakeup, actually they added a bunch of players: Kaiser White, Rashad Fenton, Dennis Daly, Zach Pascal, wide receiver who played for the Indianapolis Colts, Jeff Swam, who's the tight end for the Tennessee Titans. But big-time departures: DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Allen, and Byron Murphy, cornerback, defensive end, wide receiver, respectively, for those guys. Kaiser White was really good for Philadelphia. He comes back over with Jonathan Gano as the head coach. Played him, was the defensive coordinator there. I actually think the Zach Allen loss is bigger than people want to say. He's going to Denver, and he's going to be a key piece there for that Denver defense. DeAndre Hopkins, this guy wants to win a title. He went to Tennessee. I don't think he's going to win one there, but I think they did him a nice favor by releasing him and allowing him to pick the team he wanted to go play for. As far as a team building, though, it makes zero sense whatsoever to release him when you could have gotten at least something for him in trade compensation, even if you had to eat all of his salary. But kudos to Arizona for doing the honorable thing and letting the guy, in the 31 years old, going to be 32 at the end of this season. Kudos to them for allowing him to go find where he wanted to play. Byron Murphy's a big loss. I wouldn't have let him walk, but.
Again, I don't like how no one's asking the questions regarding this DeAndre Hopkins fiasco. How do you go from the picture of the year and moment of the year with the Hail Mary against Buffalo, where it's all those Buffalo hands.
Man, we're 2 years removed from that play.
And you got the one black Jordan glove coming down, with the hand on the ball coming down for it was that to win the game or send the game to OT? Whatever.
It was a walk-off.
To win the game. You go from that to releasing him, just straight up releasing him. I legit remember the game. I forgot who they were playing, but Kyler Murray looks to his left, and DeAndre Hopkins is out there one-on-one, no safety help, no one over the top, and Kyler Murray just smiles like, okay, you gonna you you, you gonna leave DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one? Okay, we know how that play ended.
Yep. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is probably an Arizona Cardinals team. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't have that many opportunities to win a title. I mean, it's a nice gesture by them, but yes, I would have for sure have gotten some draft capital, something for him, a player of his caliber and his talent. I mean, outside of Kaiser White, I don't really care about the guys they brought in. I only put them on the graphic because I had to fill it. Like they added a bunch of other guys I also don't care about. So like I'm not blown away. Like none of those guys are needle movers in my opinion. Like none of the guys they signed are gonna make me jump out of my seat and be like, oh my god, they got that guy. I don't care. Like no disrespect to anyone on that list,
No,
but
it's just again, it's just I just don't like how this DeAndre Hopkins thing was handled. Like, what are you not telling us? What are you not telling the people? Like, and shame on the media for not asking those questions. Like how do you just up and release one of the premier receivers in the league, and not a single question is asked as to why? Was it did him and the GM not get along? Was it contract stuff? Was it the head coach? What did him and Kyler stop seeing eye to eye? Was it the scheme? Was it the offensive coordinator? Was it what was it? What was it? I'm sick. Like
I legitimately think this goes back to kind of the quote unquote tanking question that I asked, earlier. So, but when it comes to roster shakeup, this is like a C- in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then go ahead. Sorry.
No, I ain't got to go ahead.
Moving on to the schedule, and we're going to do this a little bit differently. Rather than go through every single game on the schedule as we do on most shows, I'm just going to straight up ask you, how many games do they win this season, looking at their schedule and what's offered there?
Washington's winnable. I don't see them winning it. I don't.
I'm not trying to, but I got one. I think they beat Los Angeles Rams in Arizona because I think both those teams are going to be terrible. But they have for a team that's going to be trash, like no disrespect or offense, this is a very difficult schedule. They got the Cowboys, they got San Francisco, they got Cincinnati, they got Baltimore, Pittsburgh. All three of those could have been playoff teams last year. They got the Atlanta Falcons. You know how I feel about them. I think they're winning the South. That's the game. The only game I think they win is that game against the Rams. I think they get beat by Philadelphia. They get swept by Seattle. They get swept by San Francisco. They get beat by the Bears, who I think to be better than most people think. They lose to Dallas. They lose to the Giants. They lose to the Commanders. The Commanders game is the only game I think they can win but also there isn't a lot of tape on Sam Howell. And what we talk about all the time, when there isn't a lot of tape on a guy, it can get you off guard.
There's one game. There's one game of tape on Sam Howell.
Yeah. I know he played pretty solid in that preseason game, but it's preseason, so take it with a grain of salt. And I also think offensive coordinators usually don't show their full. They don't usually play they don't show their whole hand. I for real think that the only game they win is that Rams game. But I will say this: last season when we did the Seattle Seahawks season prediction show, I only had them winning one game, and I was super wrong about that. So maybe.
And here's the difference. Here's the difference between that. No quarterback was hurt. Like no Gino wasn't hurt. Drew Lock wasn't hurt. They were healthy. They also literally just traded Russell Wilson, so we didn't know Gino was going to do what he did.
100%. So I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all about that prediction, but I was very wrong. So,
and they had 5 draft picks for the entire draft. You got teams that have 5 draft picks in a round. or 2 rounds. They had 5 picks for the entire draft, and they hit on every pick. Kudos to them.
Yep.
This, on the other hand, just to go through the just to go through the game. All right, so Washington's winnable. Again, not saying they're going to win. I'm saying it's winnable. So can they beat Washington? Yes. Maybe. Are they? Probably not. No. The Giants, no. Dallas, no. San Fran, Bengals, no. Rams, I don't. I mean, I see why you're saying that, but I don't see them beating the Rams. I don't see them beating Seattle. Baltimore, next game. Cleveland, no. Atlanta's winnable because again, what are you getting out of what are you getting out of the quarterback situation there? Houston's winnable. Rookie QB, first time head coach, just like this guy. So on some real deal Holyfield, 3-14.
I got them at 1-16. I think the only game they win is that game against the Rams at home. I don't think they win another game.
And that's at the end of and that's towards the latter part of this. And they got a late bye.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like they got to buy super late as it can go. And this is a really tough schedule for a team that's quote unquote rebuilding, quote unquote tanking. Yeah, I don't expect good things out of the Arizona Cardinals this upcoming season. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was wrong about the Seattle Seahawks last year, so maybe I'll be wrong about this situation as well. But I doubt it. I've been David Huffman. Right there is my coach, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. So what do you think Arizona is going to be like this season? Do you think they're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the NFL this year, or do you think they're going to be shocking some people? Let me know down in the comments section. TJ, what do we do here at the prom, my friend?
We bring the heat.
Yes, sir. And the heat's coming back because it was awfully a little nipply out today. I wore a hoodie for that. I was not look ridiculous while wearing it today.
Yeah, what you call it? I was looking at my phone the other day, and I checked the weather for like this Wednesday coming up, and that thing said 111. I'm like, that's not real.
Yeah.
No, that's not real at all.
It's supposed to be in the upper 90s here, so the heat will be coming back. And don't blame Prime Sports World when it does come. We'll see you guys all later. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you guys here tomorrow.